Welcome back, Canonites. Yesterday, Xbox released the full opening cinematic for Halo 5, and it is glorious! If you haven't seen it yet, click here to watch it, then join me back here for the breakdown. Don't worry, it'll open in a new window. Ready? Let's do this. The trailer starts on board a Pelican just as Fireteam Osiris is receiving their orders. As we learn, 5 human colonies have been hit in the past 72 hours. All of the attacks Forerunner in nature. Looking at the screens, we can identify 2 colony names, Conrad's Point and Ursa 4, both new locations. Looking at the general landscape, I can't help but wonder if one of these colonies might have been the location we saw in the 2 live-action trailers from a while back. Looking at these frames, we can also pretty clearly see some Forerunner ruins, blue, indicating that these were not Promethean attacks. Most likely, those were where Guardians were once stored. Lasky tells Osiris about the attacks and informs them that Dr. Catherine Halsey has contacted the UNSC offering information on said attacks.
Massive destruction, Forerunner in origin. And Dr. Catherine Elizabeth Halsey has managed to contact us. She claims to have information on these attacks.
Palmer then appears to brief Osiris on their mission, recover Halsey and, if possible, take out Jul 'Mdama. So if you're keeping up with Halo Escalation or you've seen my reviews of the series, you'll know that this is quite the change. Currently, Halsey is very much allied with Jul, so development like this would seem to indicate that the two had some sort of falling out, perhaps over the events at the Absolute Record. Of course, as I've been saying for the past 2 years, Halsey has been using Jul as a means to an end, her end being the advancement of humanity. She may have no love for the UNSC and ONI, but she still wants to help mankind as a whole. Also of interest is Palmer's attitude towards Halsey. She doesn't bash the woman, make any remarks. She just gives Osiris the mission briefing. Maybe she's had a change of heart, or as she is a commander, she's just keeping it professional. Either way, it's a good direction for Palmer. The briefing goes on to reveal that Osiris is being deployed to Kamchatka, a planet we've seen a few times in concept art and the setting of the Wargames map, Stormbreak. After the briefing, Osiris gears up, exchanges some banter, which I love, by the way.
Anybody want to say a few words?
I figure if God can hear how scared I am, so can everyone else. Locke, you buying the first drink when we're done?
You ask, you buy.
And deploys. Cue some awesome-ass music. And it is so awesome. Right away, we can see a couple new ship designs. First, we have the one we saw on the map Truth from the Halo 5 beta. The second is a much longer, almost Infinity-like ship. Now, I'll be honest, I'm not a big fan of these ship designs. The giantess engines on the one from Truth just look weird, and the long ship looks way too human. Covenant ships have, by and large, been bulbous and organic. While the long ship is somewhat organic, it has way too much of the long, hard-edged geometry that you usually attribute to human ships. A little further into the trailer, we can see another new Covenant ship type. This one just... I don't even know. It's just shapes and lines. This one also looks a lot smaller than one of the other ships, perhaps a new type of fighter or bomber. In fact, later on, one of the Spartans actually dives through that hole in the back, giving credence to my idea of a fighter or bomber. But anyway, as Osiris dives to the surface, we can clearly see that a battle has already started. Who is the Covenant fighting? It would look to be the Prometheans, or at least something Forerunner. We'll talk a bit more about that later on.
Comms working fine, Locke.
Copy that, Tanaka. Spartan Buck online and ready.
Spartan Vale online.
Weapons free.
Osiris finally makes it to Kamchatka's surface and goes to work clearing out Covenant forces. And God, is it awesome! We get to see Spartans really being Spartans while showing off some of the new features in Halo 5, namely the freaking ground pound. During this sequence, we also finally get some good looks at the new Wraith design. The design certainly retains much of the distinct silhouette of the classic Wraith, but with a few differences here and there, notably the elevated rear. I'm not all that sure where I stand on this design, but I'm willing to give it a chance. Moving forward, we get a pretty good look at the new Phantom, and we can see that the main gun actually folds up, rather than always being deployed. As the Phantom gets too close to the ground, Vale boards it and clears it out like a genuine badass, while her fellow Spartans continue their work on the ground. Have I mentioned how awesome all this is? Now, I think we can start talking about who the Covenant is originally fighting. A Phaeton appears on screen, but it doesn't look like it's aiming at Osiris, but rather the Covenant. Further, in one scene just a little earlier, you can see Promethean knights and soldiers engaging Covenant forces. So what the hell is going on? Did the Didact decide he no longer needs Jules' Covenant? Or is something on Kamchatka forcing the Promethean knights to fight against the Covenant? Or is something else entirely going on? Well, Frankie gave us a partial answer. As he puts it, Jules' Covenant and the Prometheans have their own goals, but sometimes the two align. So, up to a point, very recently in the timeline it would seem, the Prometheans and Covenant had a similar goal. Given the presence of both forces on Kamchatka, I would wager that these forces were put at odds very recently, perhaps even when landing on Kamchatka. Another idea that's been put forward is that this might have something to do with the mysterious Warden Eternal. We'll have to wait and see. As the Spartans continue to fight, we see that one of the new ships has been shot down, and now Osiris has to outrun the debris while pushing forward. So much awesome! The trailer comes to an end as Osiris dodges debris and jumps over a cliff. It's said that you're supposed to jump right into gameplay in the final game, presumably one of these scenes we saw during the recent Vidoc. And that's the Halo 5 opening cinematic. There's so much going on, and while I covered a lot, I'm sure there's plenty I missed. Let me know in the comments below. Also, how psyched are you for this game now? Have you been sold on Osiris at all? Remember, you don't necessarily have to dislike Blue Team to like Osiris. Personally, I'm loving them, and it's good to see that they are quite capable. A final note before the end is regarding the nature of this cinematic. It is using in-game assets, but it's pre-rendered and had some post-processing effects added. In short, it won't look quite this good in the final product, but it should still look pretty damn good. A solid comparison would be to the Halo Reach opening cinematic Bungie showed during the VGAs in 2009 versus the final product. The version shown at the VGAs was rendered out of Reach's engine, but the final video had some post-processing applied to smooth it out and give it a little more pop. The same is what we're seeing here, more or less. So that's all for today. I hope you enjoy this, and until next time, I'm just going to be watching the cinematic on a loop. Ta-ta for now, Canonites. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you liked this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up, subscribing, and sharing it around. You are the reason I get to keep doing this, so thank you, profusely thank you. If you want to dive deeper into Halo's lore, head over to the Halo Archive. It's a lore-based community that welcomes everyone from experts to rookies. No matter what your working knowledge, you'll be sure to find a friend and a good time.